Joining us now, NBC News presidential historian Michael Beschloss and USA Today Washington bureau chief Susan Page. So, Susan, you've got a list of 5 things that President Biden needs to do, starting with not just be older, but be wiser. Tell us more.
Well, obviously you can't argue what your age is. That is indisputable. But you can make the case you're up to the job, that you've got vigor, that you can handle 4 more years in office. This is Biden's big opportunity to do that. We don't have many bully pulpits left. The State of the Union address is one of them, Andrea.
And Michael, take a big picture, zoom out for us on what's at stake for him tonight. You point to FDR's For Freedom speech in 1941. Obviously, wartime, a bigger challenge. But let's talk about the challenges tonight.
Well, this is a real historical moment. We could be a dictatorship next year if Donald Trump is elected and carries through on his threats and carries through on his threats to suspend the Constitution. That's what's at stake. So Joe Biden could finesse it and talk about other things, or he could confront the elephant in the room and say, this is a year when we Americans have to choose whether we're going to live as a democracy, as a republic, or as an authoritarian system. That's what FDR was doing in 1941. Nazis, fascists, Imperial Japanese were rampaging around the world, and he said, you Americans have to choose, and also for you Americans who think that we need to be fascist at home to compete with other fascist governments, which a lot of people were saying, he said we need these 4 freedoms: freedom from want and fear, freedom of speech and religion.
And Susan, I want to talk to both of you about something we haven't seen, I don't think, anything this brutal since Lee Atwater back in 1988 with his campaign ad, which is that new Super PAC ad, and it's all over the place, actually suggesting that Joe Biden will not survive another term, and also really demeaning the vice president. Susan, you first.
We've never seen routinely this kind of brutality in political ads, that sort of attack. But brace yourself, because I think we're going to see a lot of it this year. I think it's no holds barred, and I'll be interested in the kind of reception that President Biden is given tonight in the House chamber. There was a long tradition of a respectful audience. That has not been the case in some recent years, and I'll be curious about what happens tonight. We'll be watching that. It did provide Biden with one of his good moments at the last State of the Union, when he made a retort when Marjorie Taylor Greene called him a liar, and he took that as a commitment to Social Security and Medicare. But this is likely to be, I think, Andrea, a brutal campaign year.
Does this sort of set the standard very, very low or high, however you're putting the gauge, Michael, in terms of the ugly factor in campaign
advertising?
It's
starting ugly and low, and it's going downward, and this is going to be a hellacious year that I think makes Willie Horton in 1988 look elegant and dignified. We're going to have a year in which this kind of stuff is going to spiral. You're going to have deep fakes. You're going to have people claiming that other candidates said things that they did not say. And also abroad, there's at least the possibility that hostile nations that would like to see Donald Trump elected may cause a lot of trouble, especially in October. Same thing with fomenting of unrest in the cities. Hope it doesn't happen. We don't know yet, but we've all got to be braced.
Susan, I remember when we were all, tisk-tisking because Bush 41 called Bill Clinton a bozo. And we thought that was really, really terrible. We've come a long way, baby, huh?
That is for sure.
Well, Susan, when you look forward to this campaign or, gird up for it, do you see, any way around this kind of ugliness?
Well, Americans do respond to their better angels, I think. And, in the midterm elections, when we asked voters the issue that mattered the most to them, they didn't say the economy, they didn't say abortion, they said democracy. So we know that Americans care about our democratic institutions, and I think we expect President Biden to make that part of his appeal tonight, that democracy itself is at stake. That's one of the things he said before, and that does appear to higher aspirations in our nation.
Indeed. And Michael, I know we only have 10 seconds, but that's one of the big issues for you. Democracy.
If Americans knowingly choose a dictatorship, there's nothing we can do. All Joe Biden can do is to say, this is a real possibility. Make sure you get active in the system this year. Make sure you vote.